Test, test, test. Test, test, test.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. So my name is Laura Rigg. I'm going to be the MC. I work at St. Elizabeth Physicians. I know we had a lot of St. Elizabeth people who came in, but I'm one of the therapists that works in the doctor's office. I am also one of the team leads, which is fun, and I am the chair of the engagement group. So if anyone wants to work on planning the meetings or doing anything like that, go ahead and reach out to us and you can be part of the engagement group. So the first thing that we are going to get started with is, I'm waiting for the slide. Oh, the vision. So the vision of the Safety Net Alliance is together build a resilient community. The Safety Net Alliance of Northern Kentucky envisions a future where every member of our community enjoys equitable access to essential services, support, and opportunities as a springboard to a brighter future. We aspire to create a strengthened safety net that fosters hope, dignity, and well-being for all Northern Kentuckians. And this is our mission statement. So the mission statement of the Safety Net Alliance of Northern Kentucky is to unite, strengthen, and amplify the collective impact of diverse organizations and individuals dedicated to changing the lives of Northern Kentuckians facing adversity. Together, we will create a stronger, more compassionate, inclusive, and equitable Northern Kentucky, where the safety net is a source of hope and transformation for all residents in times of need. All right, so this is our meeting agenda. We just had lunch and networking, so hopefully everyone found someone to talk to and got some good networking opportunities. So right now we're gonna welcome our first-time attenders. So is anybody here for the first time? All right, so what we'll do is we'll just ask you who you are and what corporation you're with.
I'm Shannon. I'm a peer support specialist at the Baby Steps program with St. Elizabeth.
And I'm Amber. I'm one of the nurses with the Baby Steps program.
What does Baby Steps program do?
We work with pregnancy and parenting moms with substance use.
Who else was new? You were new? Yep.
Well, not new. It's been years since I've been here, but I am new with Senior Community Care of Northern Kentucky. I am a social worker with their PACE program. So we are an all-inclusive senior care for that population. So if you have any seniors that are nursing home eligible, we are your place.
If they want to age in place, yes.
Hi, I'm Maggie Leinott. I'm with St. Elizabeth, and I am in their new department, their Community Health and Partnership Department.
Laura, I'll run the mic. We got this one on.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yep. Anyone else? I thought you're new, right?
Thank you for the invitation. Philip Parrott, I'm the lead manager for 988 at North Key. My pleasure to be here.
Other new folks? Holy smokes. That's everybody. Well, welcome.
Welcome. All right, so committee reports. So we have all these different committees, as you will see, and every time we will go and give a little bit of a report of what's going on with that. So who is reporting for the executive committee?
That would be me.
Okay.
I'm also manning the camera and the slides today, so that's super fun. First thing is we did our elections in November, and I want to welcome, thank you for electing me as chair for this year, and Kim Webb as vice chair, and then welcome to all of our new executive committee members. If you were newly elected to the executive committee, would you mind standing up so everybody can see you? Yay! These awesome people are joining us. We are so excited to have them. Just, if you're on the executive committee at all, would you mind standing up for me right now? Andy and I are. Karen, and then the people that you saw, Jenny, and we have some other people that aren't here today. The executive committee is in charge of the strategic vision for the organization and oversight. You'll see that a lot of work is done in our committees, which is what you want. But if there is something that you're unhappy with the safety net, or you have a great idea on how we can do it better, find one of these people and they'll bring it to the executive committee to us to start working on it. Our big goals for this year are, one is we have to finish our new bylaws that we're writing. So we'll get those done. We want to continue to amp up our affinity groups and get those rolling really, really well. We're working on some software in partnership with the United Way, and that software will allow, ideally, one intake into the safety net system in Northern Kentucky, and we will actually be able to share not only data and intake information for clients, but we'll also be able to share their documentation. So we'll be able to share ID and proof of income and residency and things along those lines. So that ideally, when we want to send a referral to another organization, all that they need to get that person enrolled is already in front of them, with the goal of simplifying the whole process, right? We all know it's very difficult to be low income, and as well as we all work together, somebody still might have to go to 4 or 5 different organizations to get the care they need. And we know that's one of the reasons they stop, is because it's just so difficult. So as an executive committee, we're working hard along with Service Integration Committee to figure out how do we work better together so that it's easier on that end client to get what they need. So we'll be rolling out a pilot project of that with about 6 to 10 organizations at the end of the first quarter. We'll probably do that for 6 to 8 months to work out all the bugs in the system. And then once that's done, we'll hopefully be rolling it out, and hopefully all of you will want to join it because it's going to make the life a lot easier for our people. So those are just a few of the big projects going on. We're also working on long-term funding for the organization. We're moving our fiscal agent to NKADD, and all sorts of other things that are boring and don't impact your life, but are very important for the organization to keep going.
Thank you. All right, so the next committee is the Member Engagement and Development Committee, which I am the chair of, so I'll tell you a little bit of what we're doing. So in this, we are developing the calendar for the 2025 year of everything that we will be highlighting, which we have developed. I believe the executive committee has approved it. So next month will be senior services, and then we'll let you know in advance what's going to be coming up, so we'll know that. So we'll share that information with you. Also, we're starting to develop stuff that's called the Safety Net 101. And engaging with new members of the safety net to help them understand all of the different things that we will be doing and different tools that you can use to engage better with the safety net community. Things like explaining how to submit an alert, showing where the website is, showing how to sign up for events, or how to get your corporation more involved, about the affinity groups and different things. So we're working on all of these processes, and hopefully we'll have stuff soon for you guys. But also, we're always looking for members too. We meet on typically the Monday after our meetings. We might change that date now because I had to switch my off days. But we typically meet the Monday after. It's always a Teams meeting, but it's good to have everybody around and we can have all of the information. Everyone has such great ideas, so we love other people coming in and telling us ways to engage better. We're working on ways to maybe give new people who come in swag so they have safety net stuff. So there's a lot of fun things on the horizon. So if you want to be a member, then scan that QR code on the back and we will give you a call. All right. So the next one is service integration. Who is going to present for that? Okay. I'm sure they're doing wonderful work. Yes. All right. So is there an external relations person here?
Yep, I got it.
All right.
So the External Relations Committee, we work towards the end of the year to mirror this. We did not have a December-based meeting. We do have a shell of a Facebook page made for Safety Net, which is awesome. Thank you to Jemiah for working with me to get logos and our right branding and things like that. So we are going to meet, our next meeting is January 28th at 2 o'clock. It's in the new Beacon Center meeting space at 713 Pike Street. If anyone wants to sign up for that group, please hit the QR code, so you know where to go. January starts our work to make our list of elected officials post-election, so we know who's in office, so who we need to get a hold of when it's time for advocacy. So we should be working to finalize that Facebook page over the first quarter, and then also working hopefully within the next 60 days to have our list of elected officials, at least with email and telephone contacts, so we can mobilize folks to go ahead and do what we need. We've taken advice from the group here, so our Facebook page is a community page, and to get into it, you will have to answer 2 questions. And the questions are going to be, what agency do you work for, and are you a volunteer or a staff member? Just so we know whether you're volunteers at large or members of staff. We figure out that'll screen out people that are customers or consumers, because again, it's a page for kind of us and the greater community. But that's kind of where we stand with that. And if you guys have any safety net pictures from over the years, we are going to make the all call out. Some of us do have photos from time in like Frankfurt or Build a Dream and things like that. If we have any safety net photos on your phone, please email them to me so we can get a couple of our historical photos up there. Other than that, I think that's where we stand, and that's what we'll be working on for the next 90 days.
Great, thank you. All right, do we have anyone from the community impact?
Jenny?
Hello, I'm Jenny with Brighton Center. So our community impact group, we meet the last Wednesday of the month, typically at 2 p.m. We're trying to do it in person, but we can switch to a virtual option if that makes it easier for folks. And with community impact, we're looking at how we're measuring the impact of all the Safety Net Alliance programs throughout the community and how we're lifting that impact up and how we're working together. So we've been working on coming up with a survey to help find out how agencies measure their data and lift up their outcomes and impact. And we've been working with with service integration. So Amanda Peters is the chair of service integration. She and I are going to be meeting later this week or next week to talk about how these two committees can work more closely together.
Thank you very much. All right, next we are going to have any announcements. So these are for new or updated programs, general news, resource sharing, but no fundraising opportunities. So does anyone have any announcements that they would like to make?
Start with you, Linda. I'll work over.
Sorry, I just put lettuce in my mouth, or spinach. Anyway, on March 22nd, there will be a human trafficking awareness event. It's a Saturday. It will be from 9 to 4 in Alexandria. Several churches are involved in the planning, Sunrise Children's Services. We have speakers coming from Frankfurt, from Florida. So it's $10 for the day, which covers your breakfast and lunch. And there will be registration available within the next week. So I just really kind of wanted people to be able to put that on their radar, that is something coming up on the horizon.
I'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jemiah. I'm the one that sends out the alerts from the website. You send it to me, I send it out. I heard a few of you say that you didn't get the reminder of the meeting. That's coming from my work email, Jemiah Cannon, Faith Community Pharmacy. So if you just add that on there, onto your contacts, you should be getting them. But if I'm not on there, then it's fine. You won't get it. But J Cannon at faithcommunitypharmacy.org. Keep that. And when you respond to the alerts, could you please respond to the person whose contact information is in the alert? I just send it on to them, but it will alleviate the middleman if you just directly contact them. So that's it. Thanks.
Yes, so respond to the contact, not the email, if that makes sense to everybody.
Hi, I'm Dina with Sun Behavioral Health Hospital. If anyone, I'm fairly new in this role, so I'd love to get to know some of you. And if any of you would like to take a tour of the hospital, just reach out to me just to learn more about our services and see some of the new exciting things that we have coming up. So see me afterward. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Grace Marie Thompson. I'm with Building Community Wellbeing with the Brighton Center. And we've sent a couple alerts out, but we are starting our community wellbeing supporter credential next week. This supporter credential will be available as a hybrid course. So we are planning on having them recorded. So if you can't make it in person, you can always go back and get it. We're doing a whole bunch of different things, including trauma-informed care, implicit bias, some community building workshops. All of these are free, and they are free to community members, volunteers, staff, anyone that wants to get more involved in being a better neighbor. So it's a whole bunch of different trainings, and we are planning on having a badge. Once again, they have been sent out in an alert, but if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email.
Any other announcements? I would also like to put out there that St. Elizabeth Physicians and the primary care offices has emergency food if it is needed for any of your clients. All they have to do is simply go to the front desk and we have emergency food boxes or bags. We also have homeless mats that I just found when I was doing inventory, that we have a bunch of homeless mats that were made out of like Kroger bags, like the plastic bags. They're very nice. If anyone knows of any facility that could use those or anywhere that you would like, please reach out to me. It is laura.rig@stelizabeth.com. And if you have a patient that needs that emergency food, we have boxes that supply for a family of 4 for 2 days. And we have the bags that typically are for individuals, and they're pretty much based for homeless because you don't have to have any cooking needs to do that. So if you have any of those needs, please know that if all other things fail and nothing is open, your doctors are open a lot, so we can just go to that front desk and have that. Yes.
I've got just, oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Who did I miss? So at the primary care offices, those are any St. Elizabeth
All
primary
St.
care
Elizabeth
office?
primary care offices. We go all the, we have some in Indiana, we have all around here, and we go all the way down to Grant County.
Keep on that same food topic, just a reminder, Be Concern's lobby is open Monday through Friday from 1 to 3. This is the time of the year people start to run out of those over holiday resources they've received. So as families you work with struggle, we do have that kind of no questions asked program. All they do is tell our volunteer what county they're from. But that lobby is stocked now Monday through Friday from 1 to 3. People can come all 5 days of the week and still make a scheduled once-a-month food appointment. And then with the snow on the ground and cold weather, we know it's the Midwest, so we're still doing our clothing vouchers as well. So for your families who need winter weather appropriate clothing, they can be referred to Be Concerned for that as well, and we will write vouchers to our thrift store. We've been able to keep that rocking and rolling.
I'm not with the emergency shelter, but I know, hopefully all of you know that there is now a cold shelter open in Campbell County also. I think they're getting more traffic than they did the first night, but it's at St. Paul's, which is, I believe, right down by the courthouse in Newport. So if you have somebody that's outside or sleeping in a car or sleeping on the street, they are sleeping on the floor at St. Paul's, but it is a warm place to be. And the emergency shelter itself in Covington has a cold shelter also. So please make sure that you know those resources are available and sharing it so that everybody has access. Vicky, I'm going to say it on the mic so that people online can hear. Vicky said it was standing room only. Was it at the St. Paul one? Okay. That's at the Covington one? Yeah. Well, it's somewhere warm. You know, I know Kim is... They always do a great job. And I know Kim is desperate for partners because we know that we need more than 2 in northern Kentucky, right? That's nowhere near enough. It is important for the county government to be on board with it. That was critical for Campbell County coming on board, was that the fiscal court was on board with making it happen, and they had some partnerships from Holy Spirit Parish and St. Paul's. And so if you have connections at places in Boone County or farther south in Campbell County or other places in Kenton County that you think might be able to work, or they're interested in hosting a cold shelter, you just need a warm room is really all you need to get started. Please reach out to Kim Webb at the emergency shelter, and I'm sure she would love to partner with you to figure out. The last thing we want is anybody dying of exposure. I mean, that's just awful and should never happen. So.
Hi, so Brian Cunningham with the Life Learning Center. This is number 2 for me, so I'm not sure if this is, but I thought we'd maybe on a positive piece of workforce development aspect. So our Ensweiler program that is in Kenton County is kind of scholarship-based. there. The 13-week program that we're sharing with them for the trades and for us with Life Learning Center, they've now added us to their 26-week program. So if you know people who are looking to develop in the trades and could use some life coaching support, have them not just look out the 13-week, but the 26-week program is there now too.
Hi, I'm Rosemary from Welcome House, and the Boone County does have a cold shelter that goes into effect when the cold snaps happen. The way to get them into that shelter is to make sure that you do a referral for them through the street outreach with Welcome House, but they'll work with you to get you in there, so.
Any other announcements? Going once? Going twice? Laura?
All right, thank you for all those announcements. All right, so next we're going to invite up our panel. So this is for emergency services, and this is the panel that we're going to do right now. So first we're going to welcome Philip Parrott, Kelly Pompilio, Lori Wilson, and Karen Zingle. So everyone come up and have a seat on the panel. I believe there's a microphone, yep, that you guys are all going to have to share. I'm sorry? Turn it on, yeah. You can sit however you would like. No assigned seatings right now. Okay. Okay, thank you guys for being here. First things first, I'm going to have you introduce yourself and tell us where you are from and a little bit about what you do.
My name is Laurie Wilson. I am the police social worker out of the Campbell County Police Department. Basically, my job in a very small nutshell is that I follow up on any calls that my officers go out on that are social service related. That can be anything from mental health issues, substance use, homelessness, juvenile issues, needing food, on and on and on. So anything and everything that could be a social service issue.
And you were with what police department? I'm sorry.
Campbell County.
Campbell County, okay.
Hi, my name is Kelly Pompilio. I'm the Alexandria Police social worker. To piggyback off of what Lori said, when I say we deal with anything and everything, that's exactly what we do. I always joke it's anything the officers don't want to deal with. We often see on body cam when they're out on a scene that they will say, hey, we have a police social worker, can they follow up with you? And we'll talk more about like the crimes and the statistics here later. The other addition that we do is we do a lot of education for the community. So we do presentations to seniors on scams because that's very high amount of cases in our area that people are getting scammed out of $30,000. So it's a lot of money. And then we do presentations with parents on social media and ways to keep their children safe. We do presentations with kids on how they need to be safe on social media. We do education on Hidden in Plain Sight, which is a program to educate parents on teenage substance use, so paraphernalia, kind of some risk factors, warning signs, that kind of stuff to look forward to.
Again, thank you. I'm Philip Parrott from North Key, 988 lead manager. What we do is we answer 988. If you're calling 988 right from here or anywhere in the northern Kentucky area, you're talking to North Key, which has employees that have been trained through Vibrant Exchange, 988 SAMHSA services to handle the call. They're trained in de-escalation techniques, and it's good to be here with the Safety Net Alliance because everybody here is our community partner, because a lot of times once we receive a call and actually talk to the client, they might not need hospitalization, or they may not need the next step. So we get them the referral services in the community, and then we assign someone to follow up with them to make sure that they actually get the services that they're asking or rendered. So it's a lot of information. It's not so much a lot of information, it's like who calls 988, who calls 911. You know, 911 is something immediate, overdose, bleeding, something that's very physical possibly. People that call 988 are people that are in emotional distress. Very, you know, their world is very small at a time. They can't problem solve. We help them with that. We do, let's see, the fourth reason someone calls 988 is suicidality or homicidality. The very number one reason in Northern Kentucky and the state of Kentucky that someone calls 988 is because of family issues, is number one. We've seen a big increase in school safeties where 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds are calling 988 because they're reaching out for help, and we get them set up with a counselor at school, whatever, and do the school safety and things like that. But anyway, we have seen an increase this year in school safeties. Number two reason someone will call 988 is because of mood disorder. Mood disorder could be major depression, manic episodes, things of that nature. Number three reason why someone will call 988 is they're lonely, or they just need to talk, or they just need to, hey, I'm isolated, I have no one to talk to, can you help? And we try to get that person lined up with an agency that, you know, maybe it's the council on aging for an elderly person, or maybe it's, hey, we get them lined up with a community resource that's willing to meet their needs. So anyway, that's a lot. Sorry, a lot of information, but that's what I do. So
thank you.
My pleasure to be here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Zengel from St. Vincent de Paul, Northern Kentucky. And when we came up with this topic, this is kind of a different angle on emergency services. We're blessed to have such growing resources within the police social work departments throughout our community, and to have 988. But sometimes people are in an emergency financial situation, and they're at threat, threatened with eviction, threatened to be homeless. And St. Vincent de Paul provides those emergency financial services because, while we're there to provide hope for people primarily, we don't want anyone to lose their home. And so all the services that we offer are designed so that people are able to stay housed. So we do provide rent and utility assistance. That's a significant service that we provide, and we provided over $1 million last year in rent and utility assistance to over 10,000 people in Northern Kentucky. And thank you. Thank you. But in that, we have Vincentian volunteers who try to go and work with folks to help them understand how they might think a little bit differently about their budget and how they're using their money so that they can take care of their housing first. So even our basic food assistance, furniture vouchers, clothing vouchers, all of those things are designed so that the families that we're serving can figure out how to make ends meet, or we can help them make ends meet. But that's the different take. If there's an emergency financial situation, we encourage people to reach out because we want to try to triage that situation and keep them housed.
Excellent, thank you. So we have a couple questions that we're going to ask our panel to kind of have the conversation so we get all the information that's relevant to the emergency services. So the first question is, what is driving the need for services that the community needs to be aware of? So we'll go ahead and we'll ask everybody on the panel, so whoever has a microphone and would like to answer, go right ahead.
For our police department specifically, we ran our numbers, what we call roll call, and over 70% of the calls that officers respond to are not crime related. And so we really started looking at, what is the issue, and it was all social service related. And so in 2016, when I started as a police social worker, that was really our driving force. And on average, each year since 2016, I've worked around 517 interactions with families and individuals. And so when you think of that per day or per month, it is a lot. I worked with 105 different families and individuals. And just like we said, Lori mentioned earlier, it's all stuff with mental health, domestic violence, substance use, elderly. A lot of times when the officers are responding to calls, they can have a resource list and hand it to somebody and say, here's some emergency shelters you can go to. But often they'll go to the emergency shelter and it's full. So then they're stuck in Covington or they're stuck in downtown Cincinnati. And so we really try to assist with that, but then remove all barriers that an individual faces in getting the services. And so a lot of you guys we talk to on a regular basis about the resources and services and making those connections. So that's kind of the struggles that we see. My top 3 issues that I address in our community are mental health, domestic violence, and elderly. Elderly is very high. A lot of it's from seniors falling. Like on a regular basis, we had somebody fall 3 times in one day, and the ambulance is coming out, helping them back into their chair or their bed, and then they're called out again 3 or 4 hours later. So trying to help that individual, whether they need a higher level of care or resources in their home to make it safe for them to live, is kind of what I see on a regular basis.
Yeah, to piggyback off of some of that, we see, I ran some very brief numbers over the last year. We had 684 cases last year that were social service related that we followed up on. I mean, that's an average of about 57 a month that we're running into. Not all of those will be very hands-on. Some will just be a quick follow-up phone call. How are you doing? They might be fine. The issue might have resolved itself, or we might have been able to give them, a few resources, and they are able to kind of handle those on their own. But I would say the majority of the cases are more involved, or they need a little bit more hand-holding, for lack of a better word, where we're having to sit with that person and be like, okay, here's a list of homeless shelters that we gave you. Did you follow up on any of those? And they might say, no, they don't have transportation there, or they might have phone anxiety, or, whatever the reason might be. And that's with anything that we deal with across the board. A lot of our folks just need that little bit of extra support. Domestic violence victims that we deal with, that they can go to the Ion Center or somewhere like that, but sometimes they need that extra just support on how to file for a protection order, and instead of just giving them, like, here's what you do, go to the clerk's office down in Campbell County and they'll help you. Well, if you've been a victim of domestic violence, that is terrifying. You're kind of in a state of shock and you don't know what to do. So we do a lot of that extra support of going with them to the courthouse, helping them fill out the protection orders, going to court with them, sitting with them, explaining that process. So we deal with a lot of that. So it is a lot. I mean, I would definitely say 70 to 80% of all the calls that our officers are going out on are social service related, that we need to follow up on afterwards. Our biggest 3 would be mental health, juveniles, and domestic violence. We are pretty much in domestic violence court every week without fail. So that says a lot. And sometimes we have more than one case, which is shocking, just for our county area. And then a lot of times, Angie, the police social worker at Highland Heights, she's there, and Kelly's there. And so that's just 3 police departments, and we're there just about every week for domestic violence. So that just is horrific on a whole nother level. But yeah, so that is what drives the need for, I think, police social workers in the police department. Our officers just go out on call after call after call, and they don't know there's nothing criminal that they can do. Well, domestic violence, they handle the perpetrator end of that, but, you know, if they have an elderly person who's fallen or a juvenile that, you know, the parents are having a hard time with behavioral issues or anything like that, that's not a police issue. And so that's where we kind of come into play. Thank you.
I guess so. So for North Key, we get about 6,000 calls per month.
Wow.
Our call center handles that many calls. The crisis line, which the number I'm wearing here, it gets transferred over to crisis line. We handle between 250 and 500 crisis calls per month. And one of the things that we do struggle with is getting the services to the client is because of homelessness. Homelessness is the biggest challenge that we have in Northern Kentucky as far as, you know, because if their mental health is not right and they're homeless, how can they work on their mental health if they're homeless? And it kind of doesn't work sometimes. But that's just most of the clients that mental health is number one that we deal with, housing shortage, domestic violence, again, as everybody has already talked about, and then again, just needing generalized help in the community and the resources.
Okay.
So.
I think for us, we get about 250 cases a week for assistance, and not all of those are emergencies. Some of it is just, you know, people are having a hard time getting by. But when we do get those emergency cases, it's just like life hits you, and there's no way you could have predicted it. I think most of the emergency cases is when someone has unexpectedly had to miss work because they've been sick or a loved one has been sick. And so they had to take some time off, and now all of a sudden they're not able to pay their rent. Another quite common thing that happens is a car repair. So again, they couldn't get to work, so they had to use their money to find transportation or address their transportation issue, and so they have no money left to be able to pay their rent or to pay their utilities bills. And I think we all encounter that in some way, right? Life just hits you. And you think you can handle it and recover, and that becomes very difficult when you're in a, you know, $15, $16, $17 an hour job. So we're glad to be here to be able to help in those situations.
Excellent, thank you. So what are the primary challenges or barriers currently hindering the effectiveness and impact of your program? I know you keep answering the questions that I'm going to ask beforehand. Philip keeps answering them. He's ahead of the game.
So, and it's the issues that we see or the barriers?
Yeah, the barriers and the issues that you see that harbor your effectiveness, yeah.
So one of the big ones is, you know, we mentioned the amount of cases that we're getting. It's an astronomical amount. You know, if we're getting, just say on average, Campbell County Police Department alone is getting 60 new cases a month. That's 30. We only have 2 social workers apiece. We are not ongoing case managers. Like, we are basically there to handle a need. We are assessing that need and trying to help those people get to the resources that they need. The issue that we have in a lot of cases is that the resources are there. I mean, I think that look at this room. We have an amazing amount of resources, and we should be really blessed, and we are, but sometimes the amount of people that need all of those resources create a wait list for those resources. So then what we find is we've got a person who is very mentally ill, needs ongoing care, and it might be 2 months before they can see a therapist. And then, you know, when they are seeing that therapist, they can't see that therapist weekly. It's once a month they might see that therapist, and so by that time they've went off their meds, and you know, it's a whole big cycle. Same thing with, you know, housing assistance. We've got homeless folks that their income does not allow them to rent an apartment because, quite frankly, I think we're in a housing crisis as far as the expense of even the cheapest apartment that we find. Just to give you an example, there's one that we've been trying to get people into that's only $650 down in Melbourne, and you think, wow, great, $650, we don't see that. Talk to the landlord, and they want 3 times the rent. Well, that's $1,800 a month for income, which a lot of our folks don't get, especially if you're on Social Security disability or anything like that. The wait list for subsidized housing, 2 years. The wait list to get to see a case manager if you are homeless, again, is a month or 2, you know, and so we've got people who are living in their cars that can't utilize the shelters, you know, for one reason or the other. And so I just think that those wait lists are really causing an issue for folks, and then we're losing track of them as well before we can get them to the resources they need, and so that's kind of scary. The other thing is just the housing crisis that I kind of mentioned before. We're having a hard time getting people who are employed or who have Social Security income. We're having a hard time getting them housing. The other thing is that we're seeing a lot of multi-generational households because they can't afford, you know, a home or an apartment on their own. So you've got a house with 15 people in it, and then, you know, that causes, I think, North Key mentioned that, you know, kids are calling because they're having family issues because there's just, the house is too crowded or those kind of things. So I think those are a couple of huge barriers that we're seeing for sure.
I will say that for the therapists, there's a dwindling number of therapists in the community, and there's not people going to school for it. So if you see anyone that's interested, tell them to go to school for it. So we're trying to take some people now and be like, sure you don't want to go to school? We've had opening positions in our area since I've been there. So, I mean, there's always a need. Every therapist I talk to goes, do you know anybody that wants to work? Because that's why we have to see patients monthly, because there's not enough therapists to go around. So.
I kind of have 2 things. The one is just understanding the position of a police social worker, so when we call community agencies, we can have conversations. I know I've been doing this since 2016, and a lot of people still don't even know that we exist. So we're embedded in the police department. Currently in Northern Kentucky, there's 9 of us. So we have 2 at Campbell County, 1 at Highland Heights, Erlanger, Alexandria, Boone County, Florence, and we are currently hiring in Bellevue and Dayton, Newport, and Independence. And so we are growing. Across the state, we have an association, and we have, I think, 28 police social workers that are embedded in police departments. There's other variations of like victim advocates and that kind of stuff, but so just understanding the role and then the collaboration within the agencies. That's often a barrier, and we know HIPAA and releases of information and all the barriers that we have with those type of things, but collaborating with one another. So having those conversations. We developed a program called the Situation Table, and a couple of you guys attend that. And we have conversations about specific cases that we are struggling with, that we have barriers, and what agencies can assist, and then having that person that we can talk to. I don't know how many of you guys have ever called for a resource, but a lot of times you can talk to so-and-so, here's their voicemail. You leave a voicemail, 3 days later, you still haven't heard anything, you call back. And we're all extremely, extremely busy. So having those connections and community partners and being able to talk to somebody and having that kind of personal connection is a huge benefit for us. So collaboration is a big barrier with the agencies.
I'm lucky enough to be a part of the situation. It blows my mind every time I come. Can you speak a little bit? I know for that particular, we don't want everybody here being a part of the situation because it's too many people to handle. But specifically, what kind of people or who are you looking for that you think would be really helpful for that group?
So I would encourage an agency so for example, Brighton Center. So having the person who knows every program that Brighton Center offers at the table, so that way when we say we have a situation involving X, Y, and Z, whoever's at this table for Brighton Center said, wait a minute, we can help with that. I know, Aaron, I think you just gave us somebody for St. Vincent de Paul and linked us up right then and there. So really somebody who understands the entire agency and all the programs that the agency is able to offer for us. And then when we come, so what we do is we present cases each week that police social workers are dealing with, or the ION Center comes and they talk about cases that they are working with. So a case is presented, and then we talk about all the risk factors that are associated with that individual or that family. And then we talk about all the resources that can assist with those risk factors. And then the following week, we come back and we say, okay, Brighton Center, did this person reach out to you after we get releases and consents and all that good stuff factored in? But we talked to Brighton Center. Did they contact you? Yes. We linked them up with this service. No, they haven't called us. So then we're going back out to the house. Why haven't you called? Why haven't you followed up? And I don't know if anyone is, I'm sure everybody has had some type of crisis within themselves, their family, and I had one. And I'm a social worker. I'm a master's degree in social work, and I called one of my best friends who's a social worker and was like, I don't know what the hell to do here. What do I do? You need to help me. And she's like, Kelly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do them in order. Let's get it done. And she checked on me. Did you do that? Yeah, I did it. So it's very challenging for people, especially when they're in crisis or having an emotional breakdown, to handle things. And so having that person to assist with that is very beneficial. And then we bring all that at the situation table. Did I answer that question? Yes. Okay. Every Monday at 9 a.m., we go to the Highland Heights Police Department, and we triage cases.
So one of the things I want to just kind of point out of how it works, so we do have the Brighton Center that comes, and so we had a case that we shared. We discussed that the I can't even remember which program. It's the Safe Families program. So we put the client in there, and every week we kind of come and kind of talk about that. Like, I think when it first started, Brighton Center, like their case manager that was going to be handling that said, well, they won't let us come to a home visit. And we were able to say, well, we go to their house all the time, so what's the barrier there? Why aren't they letting us, do that? So we were able to kind of work that out. And so every week we're able to follow up on, is the family, following up with you guys? And then we can tell them, like, anything new that might have happened. Like right now, their house is literally falling apart before their eyes. And so we're able to relay that information. So it works really great on just getting a clearer idea of what truly is going on with that family, to cutting, the barriers down and able to serve those individuals so much better. So anybody who is a direct service provider, I think, so like Brighton Center, North Key, Welcome House, the shelter, I am probably forgetting all kinds of folks, transition, anybody who has direct contact with clients would be fabulous to be at that situation table, because it does just make that cohesiveness with the person's care so much easier.
I just want to put a plug in for what Aaron had mentioned earlier, that the data system, the single point of entry data system that we're working on for the SNA. I really hope that we can all be part of that because it speaks to some of the challenges that our police social workers are talking about right now, right? That removes one, that it just makes it go faster. It makes it easier on the individuals that we're trying to help. They don't have to tell their story 10 times to 10 different people. And we're able to work together. And, at St. Vincent de Paul, volunteers are the folks who are out there making the calls and doing the work. And so they don't have the training like a social worker would, or a case manager within Brighton Center, for instance. And so we are so incredibly thankful to our partners who have that deep expertise, who can stick with someone beyond that initial crisis to really, lift them up. So having that single point of entry and being able to get a person in to get the help they need from all the partners that they need is going to be huge for our community.
I forgot to mention Angie. She's amazing at Canva and all that. So she compiled like kind of a one-pager that we put on the tables about what a police social worker is, what the position is, and then on the back of it, It has the timeline of the police social worker position, but then it also has a listing of the police social workers in Northern Kentucky and across the state with their emails. So, and we can also give that electronic version as well.
Excellent.
Yes. We won't. It is. It's Martin Luther King. Yes, we will be canceling. I have to work, though.
I know, I do too.
Everybody should have to work then. Yeah, so this Monday will be canceled, and it's in person or virtual. Obviously, in person is a lot easier because just the collaboration and the connection, but we do offer virtual because we know every Monday at 9 is challenging. We try to end at 10:30, but it's also a networking opportunity as well.
Philip, any other obstacles that you have found or barriers to?
So I'm not sure if it's a barrier. We now offer mobile responders to come out to the clients. So if you call this number here or North Key and say, hey, we need the mobile responders to come out, we're staffed right now for first shift to go out and meet the client where they're at, to get those, I call it the warm handoff, to the services they need versus trying to tell the person over the phone what they need to do, then they get lost in the mechanics of that. And then we also have a program now where it's called the 5 calls. We call 5 times to the caller for follow-up to make sure that the resources that we have given are actually utilized, or any barriers that they're finding, we assist them however we need. We have the mobile responders we send out now, and we also use Uber Health to get anybody to wherever they need to go in the local area.
Are the mobile responders for all counties?
All Kenton County, Campbell, Owenston, Grant, the 7 counties.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, and then finally, in your view, how can local organizations collaborate more strategically to address these unmet needs and drive sustainable solutions?
I think for us, thinking outside the box. So when we do not have a release of information or a consent sign, we are not wanting you to break policy by all means, but how can we remove that barrier at that time? So for example, we had the Ion Center. They came to our last situation table, and they needed help with a particular victim in our community that is in our jurisdiction, but could not release the name. So what we came up with is for that Ion Center therapist to meet with their client at our police department. So we talk with them at the police department, and we're able to introduce ourselves and our position. So really trying to think outside the box. We had a situation at St. Elizabeth Hospital, and we responded, and they couldn't tell us anything about the patient. So we creatively said, okay, St. Elizabeth, you report your concerns to the cabinet, adult protection. We will report our concerns to adult protection, and then we can get with the adult protection worker and collaborate to get the needs met of this client. And so really just trying to think outside the box, be creative. Don't just say, I can't tell you anything because I don't have a release of information or I don't have consent. We've also, at the situation tables, we share agency consents. And so if we're able to get that client to sign your consent form, we have that on standby. We do know that there's some agencies that they have to sign the consent in front of that agency. So we try to go around that, but just really thinking outside the box and how can we work together and communicate with one another.
Yeah, and I think that if there are agencies that can allow or would agree for us to have your releases that we can have, and we can have that person sign that. I know Sun has given us their release of information, and so if we're out on scene with a client and they're being taken to Sun, we go over that quickly with them and have them sign if they are in the right mental state to do that. Obviously, we're not going to be unethical about it, but that just makes that a lot easier. So if there is any agency that could do that, that would be super beneficial to give us those releases so we can have that conversation, because like Kelly said, we're not looking for we're not looking for details of that person's therapy sessions, or we're not looking for, anything like that, but we are looking for information that, just collaborative to help that individual, to see if we can help break down any barrier that they might be having for services, so.
So the people that are in crisis for 988, from what I understand, I've been doing 988 for about 3 years now, third year. You're covered by the Good Samaritan Act. So if you have to disclose, again, you don't have to talk about therapy sessions. You can say John or Jane Doe needs this, whatever it is. That's the collaboration, and you're always covered by the Good Samaritan Act of getting that person the services they need.
Right.
I think we all try to collaborate as best we can all the time, I have to say. I'm always the, sunny side up person. But I also, on the practical side, we all are very busy people with demands taking us in all kinds of different directions. And so, to echo some of the sentiment up here, to be creative and help where you can, but also be honest when you know that you may not be able to help. Just so that, the initial point of contact can start to think about, okay, what's my next step? Or if you have an idea of, like, this isn't the best fit for something that we can do or support St. Vincent de Paul or whatever in, but hey, I know a person here that I can connect you with, and I think that they can help follow through with this. So I think just to, help us all manage our time better and be as effective as possible, and just be honest with what we can and cannot do so that we can try to address the need as quickly as possible.
I did just want to comment on this. Sorry to keep touching on the situation table. I love it, and I think the SNA can actually take some of the ideas and implement them with others, and hopefully we will. But when I think of collaboration, I think of, especially working with the situation table, it becomes very aware very quickly where there are gaps. And so there's a young person that was in imminent danger, was trying to leave, and high likelihood they would end up in a sexual trafficking situation. And there was nowhere where we could put them. There was nowhere safe that we could get them out of their home, get them segregated from their technology, and start getting them therapy right away. It was months of wait time, and this young person probably didn't have months of wait time. They had already been given plane tickets to get on a plane. And for me, when I think of collaboration, especially from the SNA level, these are great ways where we identify, man, this is a big problem, and we need to do something about this problem. And that's where we can all start to think collaboratively of how can we bring the resources from our agency into this, and maybe not do the whole thing, but can we do a part of it when we find these situations that it's really sad in that room, when we come to a point and we're like, there's nothing we can do besides love this young person or old person or whatever, because there's just nothing that exists for us to do with them. So when I think of collaboration, it's collaborating to solve those big problems where we have those gaps.
And I think that's a really good point, too, is that when you get people at a table, they always come at it from a different angle. Someone might know something about this. I come from a mental health angle, so when doctors come in and get me for a patient, I'm like, well, do you think maybe it's anxiety that's causing that, or do you think it's something different? So having that collaboration is really, really important. So I'm actually going to open us up now for questions or comments. So I will come around with the mic that you can ask a question. So I'm going over here because I'm lazy, and you're further away, and we'll get there.
Thank you. Just thank you for all you're doing and all that we're trying to do together. I mean, it really does mean a lot, and I do think we're on the forefront of a lot of pieces. I'm thinking at the population-based level, right? And I do know this because the world I came from was youth suicide, and I'm just thinking within high schools. In the 80-20 rule applied with our people in crisis in the high school. That was 20% of the people were the 80% always of the perpetual, of the repeat. Do we know within the population that we're serving across this, Is that same principle applying where we've got 20% of our population repeating into these services where it's not solving the root issues? Or do we just have a volume of 90, 95% of people that are always new coming through? Do we have any information on that?
I don't have like any statistics on our end about that, but it's a combination. I mean, we're constantly getting new cases of new people, new faces, new families, but we are also getting the ones that we've been seeing for years, same kind of things, same kind of issues. When we do have those folks that are around for a long time, it's usually mental health. That's just such a hard thing to treat, I think. But yeah, it's a combination on our end of both of that, for sure.
I think for at least rent utility assistance from St. Vincent de Paul, we know that 80% of the people who come to us don't come back after we're able to help them, at least within the time, our measurement time period, right? But there are 20% of people, and those are probably the non-emergency situations that they're just struggling with the day-to-day. So it's just interesting that that data kind of lines up to the example that you shared.
And I know they said that last time when we talked about senior services, that's a new demographic that's reaching out for help now that didn't before. But a lot of them have fixed incomes, and they were never expecting a lunch to cost $17. So a lot of them are coming in more too.
Hi, my question's probably pretty basic. How, as a community partner, do we become involved with the situation table?
Just come. No. If you don't mind, email me and I can send you an invite to the situation table. This is brand new, the situation table is. It exists across the nation and has been for, I think, 3-4 years, but we are just coming new to it. So we're still learning, but what we would eventually like to do is to also send out emails of a specific case and listing out the risk factors, not identifying any demographics, but just listing female, age such and such, here's the risk factors. And then whoever's a part of that email chain can start to kind of spill back of what services they would have to help eliminate that risk factor. But definitely email, we'll get you invited. But it's Mondays, Highland Heights, 9 o'clock, except for holidays. It's at the city building, so. Yes, email's on the agenda, or the flyer. So the police department's as soon as you pull in the driveway, the police department's at the lower level, you go around the back of the building, and we're in the city hall chambers.
I would say also, if there are a lot of people in this room that are saying, man, I could really use something like that, or I'd like to be a part of something like that, send an email to me at aaron@faithcommunitypharmacy.org, and I think the Safety Net Alliance can help set up more of them. Because it doesn't work if you have 40 people in the room and all of them are bringing cases. This one works because we have 7 police social workers in the room. They usually bring the cases, and then we have some situation experts like myself and others that are around there that are helping to bring resources they might not know about. So there's opportunities to create more of these, and they're fairly easy to create. There's a great template, and so if that's something, let us know too. Don't everybody show up to that one, and it's gonna crash because we're not gonna have enough time to go over everybody's challenges. But if you think these things would be helpful, I think the Safety Net could help to establish more of them around our community.
Did you have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, this is not really a question, but I'm going to say it. I think I love what all of you do, and I think it's important, but I think as a safety net, we could look at maybe the reason you're getting so many calls is because the majority of our agencies are only open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And that's a pretty big gap in the safety net for our community. Hundreds of people that you mentioned, when they need a case manager and it's Sunday, you're the only place they can call. It's just an idea. Andy, Aaron, fix it.
Friday at 4:30.
Yeah.
Never fails.
You better get on it. You guys get on it right now. Also, I did have a question. For a police social worker, what do you need to have for, what are your credentials? What do you need to have? Is it master's level? Is it bachelor's level? Do you have to have your LCSW?
So it all depends on what agency is hiring and what their job description looks like. But what we really try to advocate as police social workers is education. I don't think it matters if you have a social work degree, psychology, criminal justice. It's more of experience. So having that work experience and be able to work alongside a police officer because their mindset is completely different. And some of the things they say, you have to have very thick skin and let things roll off your shoulders and have conversations with the officers, but professionally. So just finding good fits and experience, I think, is more important than the degree or type of degree. I think we all have masters, but in social work, aren't we? Yeah.
So my question is was actually for the mobile responders at North Key. Just what, being out in the field, can we expect? So like, who is the staff? Who are the responders? Are they peers? Are they therapists? Are they case managers? And what are they doing? What kind of triage in the field are they doing?
So the triage is, what they're doing is putting eyes on the client, and then I call it best practice or next steps. What do we need to do for that client? It's in crisis. One is de-escalation. We're always de-escalating the client to get them into a better mood where they can be navigable. But they're just, I'm not saying, I don't mean to cheapen it. We use our peer support for North Key that's actually been through a mental health crisis or some kind of program that where they can identify emotional response. So all of our mobile responders this time is peer support.
All right, thank you. So the time is getting short, so we are going to have to suspend questions for right now. But everybody's email is on the agenda. So all the presenters' emails is on the agenda right here. Not to let everyone just know that I'm going to offer it for everybody. You can go ahead and email them whenever you would like with whatever questions you have. Sorry, you're going to call me.
You want our date of birth, social security
Yes,
number,
I
phone
would like
number?
that as well. I would like that as well. Let's give this group, this panel, a round of applause. Thank you so much for being here. You guys may. Thank you so much. And we have a couple of minutes, so for anyone who would like to have anything right now that they are having any challenges with, or they have a need for that they would like to address with us, please feel free to do so now. So does anybody have any challenges or any help that they would like for this lovely helping community?
I got you right here, Kim.
Hi, I just wanted to share this. Rooms with Love, the nonprofit that does furniture for those starting over. If there are clients that you have that need to do community service and need volunteer opportunities, we need, not just muscle, but that's helpful, but there's nothing like them being a part of changing an empty home and transforming it to being filled with furniture. So anyone that needs community service, send them our way. Thank you.
Any other needs?
Yeah, so the question is, can they take high school students? And the answer is, if they have a ride, they can.
Anyone else have anything to share? Any needs, any challenges that we're currently facing? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming today. We will see you our next meeting. Yay, thank you. We'll be on February 19th, right here again from 12:30 to 2. And if you have any needs, you want to join any groups, remember that's on the back of your list.
I'll just ask, if anybody's able to help clean up today, I would be really grateful. I have to run out for another meeting. So if anybody can stick around and help Jemiah, that'd be awesome.